Friends and fellow internet denizens, welcome. This is another reading vlog about my reading habits and updates about the books I'm reading and finishing or not finishing. If you're new here, so am I, so I have no idea how this YouTube thing works beyond pressing record and pressing publish. This week I finished an absolute zero number of books, but that's alright because I was experiencing a reading slump. So if you haven't ever experienced a reading slump, I'm envious. You're very lucky. But most of us probably have, and it just feels like no matter what book you pick up, it's just not right. So I was actually really looking forward to starting Niall Williams' Time of the Child, which I finally got after a very long wait from the library. So I sat down with this book for about an hour or so. I read 42 pages, which is about a good rate, and I wasn't not enjoying it, but it also just didn't grab me. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, I know that feeling. Maybe I need a change of genre or genre pivot. So I've been looking to read more science fiction because it's always been a genre that I've kind of overlooked or ignored or avoided even. I don't like space stuff in general. But I picked up this book called Seveneves by Neal Stephenson. I've read another one of his works before about time travel called something D.O.D.O. It was many, many years ago. Anyway, I quite liked the concept and I quite liked his approach. So I thought, I'll give this one a go. This book is about a catastrophe that renders Earth uninhabitable. And so humans, a group of humans, kind of like Noah's Ark, have to go into space, go into exile, to ensure that the human race and human civilization survives. And then 5,000 years later, their descendants come back and recolonize Earth. So I thought that sounded really good. And I read 100 pages, which is not a big part of this book because it's huge. But I've had a really busy week and a really tiring week helping out with events at work. And I like doing that, but just being around people for so much time. I don't know about a lot of you, but I'm a real introvert. So spending time with people, being surrounded by people, having to talk to them, interact with them, be socially acceptable, that's actually really tiring for me. It really drains me. So I was really enjoying the story of the book, but it was just too much tension and too much excitement for my poor, tired soul. And I was like, no, I can't deal with it. All these people facing the prospect of dying because the surface of the earth is going to become completely inhospitable to life. A very real prospect that we're facing, maybe our children or our children's children will face in their lives. That's too much for me right now. So I just can't do it. So I had to press pause on that. And as some of you will know, if you'd watched my last vlog, I've been reading Charles Dickens' Our Mutual Friend, just mainly for sleep issues. I've got insomnia, and in the past, Charles Dickens has always been really good at curing my insomnia. So I've been reading this. So I put down Seveneves and picked up Our Mutual Friend, thinking, well, at least I'll get some sleep out of it, and resting will be good for my reading life, if nothing else. And I didn't fall asleep. I got really into it. Something just clicked after 10 years of trying to get into Dickens. And something in this book just clicked, and I felt for the characters. I identified with them. I knew who each of them were, more or less. There were some names that I had to look up in the character list, but mostly I could keep track of them. I could follow the story. I could feel the dampness and the cold of London on a winter's night. I could hear the slap of the Thames on its riverbanks as it flowed past. All of those details, the story became real to me. I got it for the first time in a decade, and I was like, wow. And it is slow going, and the language is a bit convoluted. He has a way of, embedding certain clauses within sentences, so you kind of have to read front and back and, do go a bit back and forth to get the whole sentence. And he does use words that aren't very familiar to us, but I found the whole process of deciphering his writing and trying to understand what he was saying, I found that whole process really enjoyable for a change. So the first Dickens book I read was Little Dorrit, which is about, the poorhouses of Victorian England and the effects that had on people, because that was based on his own experience. I don't remember a single plot point from that book. And I think it was I was much younger and I was just starting off on my adult reading journey. But also I was reading it in a completely different way. I was approaching it as I would a Sophie Kinsella novel or a hyped up detective novel or a Nordic noir, which I love all of them. And there's no shade to anyone who likes those books, but the way that you read those books and the way you approach a novel written by Charles Dickens or William Thackeray or all those classic writers, it's just different. And also, when I first started reading Charles Dickens, I was very concerned with a reading goal. Now, I have a reading goal of 52 books a year, averaging about 1 book a week. This week I didn't finish any books. But the thing is, I don't see it as an absolute must. As one of my favorite lines in the entire history of cinema goes,
"The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules."
So I've not focused as much on the number of books, which in the past has stopped me from reading bigger books and more complicated books, because I really wanted to tick off that goal. However, now that I've done the goal once, I've proven to myself that yes, I can, even though it takes some graphic novels sometimes and shorter books. I really now want to concentrate on books that I want to read and that I kind of want to be able to understand. And having slowed down my thinking and slowed down my reading, I think that's been key to understanding the book and enjoying it. And if you're looking to get into classics and you're just finding that you can't get it, don't sweat it. It might just not be the right book for you at this moment in time. Just let it sit. If you really want to get it, you'll get there. If you don't, well, that's up to you what you really want in your reading life. And if you're like me, always hitting a reading slump, I want to give you words of encouragement and say that you'll get out of it. Because maybe it'll take a week, maybe it'll take longer, but that book that'll break you out of the reading slump is right there. You just have to keep looking and reading and going to the library and browsing. And it's often a book that you never expected to be. Like for me, I didn't expect Charles Dickens to be the one to get me out of a reading slump. You never know when the right book will come along, but when it does, it might be the one you least expect. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you like this video, please consider commenting, liking, or subscribing. That really, really helps me. I also love to hear your thoughts on reading classics, reading books, getting out of reading slumps. If you've got any tips, because I get into reading slumps all the time. And I'll be back, hopefully, next week with a bit more of a reading update. I hope to see you there.